What's going on, everybody? This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing. Happy Monday. Good morning. Great morning. What a moment to be alive. What a pleasure, honor, and a grace to be here with all of you. Let's go ahead and take a look at what's going on. This is actually a lot to cover today because Bitcoin is on the verge of a possible breakdown. We're going to look at what the bullish case scenario will be and what the bear case scenario will be. None of us know what is going to happen. For sure, I think it's fair to say that China FUD is not FUD. It's fair to say at this point that there's no such thing as China FUD. China's really legitimately cracking down on Bitcoin as they're getting ready to launch the digital yuan. We're seeing it. So is this bullish or bearish for Bitcoin? It really depends on what your time preference is now, doesn't it? The greatest bear case I've seen out there for Bitcoin has time and time again been that, listen, mining is centralized inside China. How could that be a good thing? And now we have as China, the state is getting ready to launch the digital yuan. They're kicking out the miners from China. What's going to happen? Well, you see a bunch of hash rate go offline, and then the rest of the world, as the difficulty adjustment spikes down, is going to be able to take it up. Now, whether or not that's coming from volcanoes in El Salvador or eventually coming from thermal energy in Tonga, it's going to be headed elsewhere and be dispersed. So I'd have to say that's quite bullish for Bitcoin, right? The greatest bear case out there, that mining is centralized in China, all of a sudden that's not taking place anymore. Right now in the near term, as we see a bunch of miners go offline, you're seeing now state banks, all banks are state in China, cracking down whenever they find any cryptocurrency accounts. It's ugly out there. There's no question about that. Is that what's weighing on the price of Bitcoin? Or is it probably more so the macro that's going on right now? We're going to take a look at that towards the end. We got a lot to cover before we even get there. Let's start off with this. All right, let's start off with taking a look at this question. I listen pretty frequently, but the last 3 months I have been without direction and it's hard to follow. Right? So listen, as this Monday morning, as we all get together over here, let's just set the tone over here, right? For the last 5 weeks, right, I have said that things are really unclear. The water was muddy. Do you remember that morning? It was May the 13th when that Elon tweet came on board, and I was like, someone just jumped into the lake and kicked up all the mud, and things are really unclear. The next day, May 14th, I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. Right? I have no idea what's going on. I'm comfortable saying I don't know what's going on. Get neutral. And here we are 5 weeks later. People always want to have that clarity, right? People always want to know exactly what the next move is. Welcome to advanced trading, right? Where you learn to navigate through uncertainty with patience and discipline. That's where we are today. There's nothing easy about it. There's nothing easy about it. And you right now are getting some advanced lessons. So let's get into it. Let's take a look at what's going on. And we're going to really talk about the macro. We're seeing equity markets recovering from the sell-off last week so far this morning. We're going to dig in, right? We're seeing the 10-year slightly bid. It's still within the bull flag. And as you see both sides weighing in what they think is happening next, I think all sides are, let's say, erroneous in jumping to conclusions too quickly. Right? Before we break out of this pattern here, this is why, with the help of patterns, trend lines, and chart patterns, well, in this case, we're leaning on the next move as this bull flag develops. Is it going to break out to the upside or downside? I don't know yet. Same thing on the Nasdaq, by the way. Last week, we started seeing a lot of people calling for the markets to crash, calling for the markets to spike to new all-time high. We don't know. We're inside this rising wedge, and we haven't broke down out of it yet. Regardless of what you want to happen, we need to really focus in on what is happening. Price is our guide. We'll take a look at gold and silver bouncing a little bit in a little while. First, let's focus in on Bitcoin. By the way, if I jump down to this 2-hour chart or the 1-hour chart, you can see it really clearly. This line, the yellow area of our trend line, let me jump back over and give you just a clear view. This is the most important trend line in crypto. We're all really aware of why and what it means once price breaks to the upside. Okay, now what about this line, the clone line over here? We could see this was acting as resistance for the last 30 days until it broke up. Is this, at the end of the day, a fake out? And we go down now. I don't know. That could happen, but watch what's happening over here and watch what the market's doing. Do you see after the market did break out above the trend line, right? And it came in for the retest and it never held, right? And then it came back up. It tested that broken line, now broken support wasn't there. It holds as resistance. Market comes back down, and then you market shooting up here, and a lot of people are really looking for like, what was the market up here? I don't even know. I wasn't really watching it too well, but it was up a few percentage, I imagine, right? People are really like thinking, oh, that's it. It's time. We're gonna break out now. Look how the market held that line of resistance once again. The market's paying attention to this line. It's our clone prime trend line. Very important stuff over here, and rejected hard. Now zoom out a second with me. I'm just going to throw in a little bit of a box over here so that we can see clearly what's going on, right? And you can see that, well, right now we're still trading within this range. And as we got to the top of the range, everyone was quite bullish, right? And as we get to the bottom of the range right now, everyone is quite bearish. With good reason. If we break out to the upside out of here, there would have been a further extension. And if we break down over here, there should be a further extension down to the downside. Okay, but we still don't know what's happening yet. When I say on the verge, yeah, right now, as we're leaning into some heavy support, yeah, if we break it, we're on the verge of breaking down. Let's take a look at first before we get into the bear case, which is quite obvious. Let's take a look at the bull case. This is the bull case over here. Jeremy went ahead over the weekend, was sharing with Conquering the Markets this Wyckoff analysis showing what he believes. I mean, look at price overlaid with the schematic. It's hard to deny, right? Prices actually come down further now. We're trading right now around $32,000 towards here over here. Is it possible we're going to spike down over here into the spring or the shakeout? Well, I mean, this is the bull case. This is the most bullish case of Bitcoin that you can make probably in this moment, trying to get down as accurate as possible. Okay, so we're watching for that. Jeremy, I'm grateful that you shared this with everyone. You know, it just makes it and spells it out really clearly. Yeah, make sure I want to give him a retweet and follow on that. So let's take a look at the bear case though, before we move any further. Let's take a look at the, by the way, thank you for that. Thank you for smashing the like button over here. There's a lot of people right now. There's a lot of people out. This is a plea to rationality. There's a lot of people out there who are emotional, attacking each other. You know, you're in this together. You could have different point of views, but don't attack each other out there. Don't come at each other. There's no reason for that whatsoever, right? If you want to battle it out intellectually, go ahead and do that by presenting your case, right? But don't be emotional, you know, adding ad hominems or anything like that in your arguments against each other. That's uncalled for, right? That's just you're better than that. You truly are. You truly are. Now I got thick skin. It's okay. You can come at me. I don't really care. But anyway, with each other, be gentle, be kind. Be really, if you want to have an intellectual argument, then do it with your mind. Okay? Let's make sure that everyone works together. I don't care if you're a bull. I don't care if you're a bear. I don't care if you think we go sideways for the next 3 years. All right? There's a way to articulate things. All right? Anyway, let's stay together. Let's keep going. Let's look at the bearish case for Bitcoin right now. You ready? Let's look at the head and shoulders that is clearly developing and what it's going to look like if we break down out of there. When I say head and shoulders, let me first draw in the neckline over here, the most important over there. There's the neckline. We're actually right now on the verge of it. Right? Now, everyone should be able to see pretty clearly. I got the comments over here. Boom, 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 boom. All right, everyone. We got the head. We got the left shoulder, the head, and now the right shoulder. Is it easier even to see on a different time frame, maybe like the 8-hour? Well, I think so. I mean, it's very clear. There's no question that it's there in my mind. And if we break down, could things really get ugly? I think so. Now, I don't think that a true head and shoulders target would be met. And what do I mean by that? I mean, if you take the head and you go down to the neckline, and then you go ahead and you see what that might be. I mean, do you think that, and it's anything's possible, does Bitcoin go negative then? Does Bitcoin go to zero if that happens? You know, maybe. I mean, do you think that's going to happen? I sincerely don't. Nevertheless, the pattern is there. It's something to pay attention to. If we lose this area, this trend line over here, things could get quite ugly and quite quickly. Be very careful. Be very careful over there. Don't get into a situation of simply hope at this point. Let's take a look a little further. Let's dig in. Let me go ahead and clean up that chart because we're going to be digging into it. We're going to dig in all day long. All right. So then you have, I want to share other perspectives over here, right? Bitcoin's at $35,000. This isn't a bear market. Okay. So a lot of people, they might find themselves, afraid. This is coming from those who really strongly believe that we are in a bear market. Now, I think that, and I'm gonna really explain my point of view with you. I think that right now a lot of things are happening that are hard or difficult to explain, and I'm not sure what happens next. And I feel really comfortable continuing to be unclear. Right? It's been now for what, 5 weeks that I am unclear. I remain unclear. Yes, I'm buying the dip. I bought the dip, right? But nevertheless, I want to make sure that I'm willing to look at this from an unbiased perspective and see what's going on. To do that, I need to consult both sides. I need to understand what the bears are thinking, what the bulls are thinking. I need to know who is the smart money, right? And I need to know who is the weak money. Weak money, right? People just got into Bitcoin, buying without understanding, $60,000, right? Of course, right? And you could see that voice is loud and it's everywhere. I think that if I was unplugged from the internet and just focused in on my charts alone, that I think that like the horse blinders would obviously be a lot stronger. It would be a lot easier. But at the same time, I'm thankful to be plugged into where everyone else is coming from. I'm thankful to understand what everyone, whether or not you're an institutional investor who understands the bullish case for Bitcoin, right? Right now you're just raising another $500 million, right, in debt, and then getting ready to sell another $1 billion of stock to raise more money to buy Bitcoin, right? Or you're just someone who basically like, just bought, Bitcoin's going to $1 million. I'm buying Bitcoin. Wait a second, Bitcoin's crashing. What do I do next? All right, let's bring it in over here. Let's bring it in over here. Bitcoin's at $35,000. This isn't a bear market. Excuse the language in this one, but it's very important, right? A lot of people a lot of people are salty out there. A lot of people did not buy into Bitcoin when it was clear that, it was the accumulation stage, right? A lot of people did not buy into Bitcoin, front running the halving. And a lot of people did not buy into Bitcoin when we had that technical breakout. When I say that technical breakout, you all remember on this channel back in September as we broke out of Bitcoin. Let me go ahead and just shine this up over here. This trend line, the last all-time high, right? Then over here, the June 2019 high. When we broke out of it, I let everyone know, sorry, July, this was the beginning of the Bitcoin bull market, right? Now, a lot of you obviously positioned in back then, but a lot of you didn't, right? Or a lot of people didn't. And a lot of people are really kind of like salty, right? So that does play a dynamic in all of this. And we need to be aware, again, of all sides right now as we try. This is kind of like first principles thinking over here. You need to start from the beginning, forget everything and really just try to weigh all sides, see where all market participants are coming from, and figure out where we are and what happens next. And I don't even make sure I come back to, by the way, the true macro purpose of Bitcoin. We'll do that after we talk about what's going on in the markets right now. All right. After I get into the inflation deflation, portion of this program, let's make sure that we bring it back to what's going on here with Bitcoin and the true macro sense. So what else are we looking at over here? Let's take a look. You ready? I mean, you have to have perspective. This is Bitcoin on this date, right? And you're looking at what? Time preference, right? If we are, by the way, in a bear market, or we entered into a bear market 5 weeks, not 5 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, right? If this was the top and we entered into a bear market, bear markets generally last about 12 months, right? So the bright side is that, hey, listen, we're almost out of it. We're one day closer out of it. Now, do I think that we're currently in a bear market? Do I currently think that we're mid-cycle? Right? Listen, I really genuinely believe that we are mid-cycle, but I also at the same time believe that if we break down out over here and if we take out this 29,000 or whatever it is low, that all of a sudden things change and change drastically. And it is quite possible that we even come down to take $20,000 out. If we take out $20,000 or come test around there and take out the previous all-time high of the previous cycle, everything is completely different. I'll have Ken on here tomorrow. Or I guess it'll be tomorrow night. Me and Ken are going to be taking a look at the possibility of Ken's work and talking about what it would be for a much, much, much longer cycle. Ken's going to lay out that argument. I want to know all sides and why. All right. But nevertheless, I still hold firm that we're in mid-cycle right now. Right. I'm watching what's going on and I'm making sure that I'm able to continue to position myself accordingly. How about that? Right? If Bitcoin takes out the previous all-time high, I really don't know what to make or think of what's going on, right? And except for the fact that, listen, that would be Bitcoin trading down 70%, right? Do you think that this is the time here as that would be Bitcoin breaking its 4-year cycle pattern? Do you think that Bitcoin then doesn't hold its 85% drawdown, right? Do you think it's possible Bitcoin trades down to $9,000? Do you think it challenges where it broke out from the bull market back over here at $9,500? I mean, my world would be turned upside down. The way that I view the market, the way that I've been able to profit off of Bitcoin would be completely changed. So at this point, as we're at this critical juncture, I'm preparing myself to make sure that I'm prepared no matter what happens. All right, let's keep going over here. So, I mean, when I look at this, though, I mean, the bullish case for Bitcoin is quite strong, right? Anyway, let's keep going. I want to share over here. It's about 2 minutes. It's a little lengthy. We have over here Will talking about on-chain analytics, how they continue to be quite bullish. And let's just, as I'm kind of doing a good job here and presenting the bear case and worst case scenario, let's make sure that we also keep that balance. Let's take a look at this together for a second.
Something that looks highly bullish over the medium to long term. So this is great work. Anything else you want to leave everyone with?
Yeah, so I just wanted to just touch on, just kind of reverberate. This stuff isn't going to mean that price is going to go up in the next couple of days, perhaps. This is the on-chain necessarily, and this is something I see on Twitter a lot, like people commenting that, and not just to me, like Willy Woo or these other guys, Checkmate. This stuff is perhaps going to take longer than you would expect to play out. But the point is that, in my eyes, at least, I don't want to speak for them. I know Willie agrees with me on this too, but like we're not resembling anything in a bear market in terms of on-chain. So, this stuff is perhaps going to take weeks to play out, but it doesn't mean, okay, we're starting to resemble, slight accumulation on chain, price is going to go up tomorrow. This is stuff, you just have to be patient. It's going to take a few weeks in my opinion. But yeah, other than that, I'm doing the newsletter with Pomp for everybody listening.
All right. So listen, and when he's talking about on-chain analytics, it's hard to make the bear case that we're in a bear market in any way, shape, or form if you're following what's going on, not only in on-chain analytics, but also on the chart here. That all changes if we break down and lose this level. Things would be different. The bull case right now is definitely, if we make that lower low, that it's a quick, spring, and that's Wyckoff accumulation. We'll be watching that. If we go down further, if we take out the support around 27,000, it's a game changer. We're going to be looking at it. We're going to be going forward. A couple of really important comments over here. Let's make sure that people tune in here and there, and they get a little confused, right? It's the internet. People take bits and pieces. I get it. There's no problem. So Larry's saying, but you said Bitcoin's going to 300,000. Larry, I don't think Bitcoin's going to 300,000. I mean, my next milestone is 500,000, right? When Bitcoin overtakes the market cap of gold. And I believe that happens in the 2025, in the 2024 4-year cycle. right? And I still believe strongly in the 4-year cycle, because the 4-year cycle, by the way, I mean, or I should say that I strongly believe in the 210 block cycle, right? Because every 210,000 blocks, the supply of Bitcoin is cut in half, and it sends a supply shock, right? It's real. I really firmly believe in it. I don't think Bitcoin's going to 300,000. I think my next milestone is 500,000, and I don't think it stops there. Once Bitcoin overtakes the market cap of gold, it's really going to be competing for a greater share of that M1 monetary supply, right? It's real. Countries are adopting it, right? So let's just make sure that we all understand where I'm coming from, right? As you throw out where you think I'm coming from, I'm going to polish that up, right? So what else are we looking at over there? This is Joel. Everyone thinks that we're mid-cycle. That's not what I'm reading. Now, anyone that I would, let's say, consult their opinion, they believe that we're mid-cycle. No question about that. Anyone who has a history of being correct in Bitcoin, they believe that we're mid-cycle. Now, if I look around me, and I look around me all the time, a lot of people think that we're in a bear market, right? Many people think that we're in a bear market. And many people think that the stock market is about to crash and come off, 20%. We'll see what happens. If that's happening, I want to make sure that we're there. I think at this particular time, after last week's Fed meeting, and before that, it was the week before, I brought up to you what was going on in China, and how that was basically a warning sign over there, as their monetary systems were monetary conditions were tightening over there, as they were getting concerned about the rising inflation, and they were stepping in. I said, that to me is signal, and we're going to be aware of that and watch what's going on. All right. So just a couple of distinctions. I want to keep going over here. Matt, the video title says it all. It does. We're on the verge of breaking down here. Bitcoin's on the verge of breaking down, but that doesn't mean it's going to, right? At all. Understand both the bull and the bear case are being presented over here so that we're prepared and we get it right, right? What else, right? Chart's not looking great for bulls, of course. So in retrospect, right, it was the pi cycle top was correct after all. Listen, I don't know. How about that? Could you say that it gave a correct signal? Yes. Did the creator say that, look, it's an erroneous signal? Yes, he did. Would I have sold on that cross? There's no way. Price was not going vertical at the time. That signal for me is to signal a blow off top. This is 3 months of price going sideways. So for me, I got it wrong, right? If that was a pi cycle cross, I got it wrong. Listen, that's part of the game. That's part of the game. So maybe it was, and what happens the next time we get a signal, a pi cross signal? That's not in any way, shape, or on the hierarchy of indicators for the top. I mean, for me, it was price. I always said for me, it's price is the most important. Price wasn't indicating that we were in a blow off top. All right, let's see what happens going forward. So Roy's quite salty. Smart money's down 50% off your recommendation. Well, Roy, listen, brother. Clearly you're salty. Clearly you don't do your own research, and clearly you don't take responsibility. But none of that's true, Roy, right? Because when we talk about when we talk about me putting out a video and saying this is the V shape beginning right over here, right? Over here, I put out a V shape, and I'm like, this is the beginning of the parabolic move that leads to the rip your face off, blow off top, right? But Roy, you could say that, and that's correct. But at the same time, if you're authentic, Roy, at the same time, you have to be like, you know what, Jordan, you came out on the video on May 13th because it's on video, and I could go look at it. On May 13th, you're like, you know what, I was wrong. That's not a V. That's not a V. And to say someone got hurt on that, well, that's ridiculous. It's me saying the market showed me I was wrong. I'm getting on the right side of the trade. And look, price is actually at the same price and or a little bit higher when I did it. So it's all on video. You could go back and watch it. May 13th video, I'm like, you know what? I'm wrong. That's not a V. And yes, I want to be on the... People got hurt. How are you getting hurt? I don't understand. what are you talking about? And not only that, the next day, watch the video. It's on video May 14th. I'm like, you know what? I don't even know what's going on. For the first time since I started this channel, I have no idea what's going on, Roy. The waters are completely muddied. Get neutral. And to that day, and to this day, things have been unclear. So, you know, Roy, this is not for you. You don't have what it takes. You're never going to make it, Roy. You don't have what it takes. This is not for you. If you compete here against me in the markets, Roy, I'm going to take your money all day long. You don't have the mentality to thrive in the markets. All right. What else are we looking at? What else are we looking at? Mike's taking it real. I'm not salty. I'm feeling it, but I make my own decisions. I'm manning up, right? I didn't put my life savings in, and I'm comfortable adding to my positions. You got to have the long-term view here. You got to have the long-term view here. Is this a place to start buying into Bitcoin over here? By the way, when I talk about $55,000 Bitcoin being cheap, right? It's in the context of where this bull market's going to peak out, right? It's also in the context of where the coming bear market low is going to be, right? And we'll see those things come in the future. It won't be too long until we hit this cycle peak, in my opinion. Again, we will be looking at a legitimate case for lengthening cycles. I want to learn about it. That's coming up this week. Ken's going to be sharing that with all of us, right? But listen, as Bitcoin trades to $100,000, I'm going to troll you. I'm going to troll you. I'm going to let you know that 55,000 Bitcoin's cheap, and you're never going to get another chance to get it at 55,000 unless the possibility comes, you know, the coming bear market, you know, there's a possibility we come back around to that area because it's around $50,000. I said, you know what? I don't know what the bear market low is going to be, but I feel like it's going to be around this area. We will see, right? Context. What else are we looking at over here? You know, did I miss? Oh, there we go. I almost missed the super chat. Green 3D. Blood in the streets. My personal favorite time to buy. The CCP exit in Bitcoin is super bullish long term. I agree with that. I think more concerning that what's going on with the China fund though is what's going on in the markets. Right now, let's take a look at the traditional markets and then we'll come back over there. All right, let's take a look at what's going on in the markets and then we'll come back over here. We'll see what's going on. We'll continue putting it all together. It's just what we do over here. At the same time, every once in a while, we got to kind of like whack-a-mole. Before we do, though, can we take a look at this really quick together? This is quite interesting. This is, I think, pretty important over here. You're looking at the True Chen BTC, right? And you're looking at it on the 3-day time frame. Well, all I want you to notice over here is every time we go into red, okay? This is, I think, a pretty good guide here for those that are long-term, that have a long-term horizon, have a really good time preference over here, that are thinking what's going to happen over the next, not only cycle, but the next 2-3 cycles, that people that are not looking 5 years, but are looking at the next 10 years and 20 years. What's interesting about this is not at the beginning of the bear market. And by the way, this is an 85% drawdown from here to here, right? As you get towards the end of the bear market is when this has gone red in the past. It's a really good time to begin accumulating. I think those that are looking for like, you know what, I don't have the capacity or the desire to be watching the market day to day, but I really want to know when's the time to lean in. I think this is what you should be looking at. And I think that beyond that, for my own self, as I approach Bitcoin in multiple strategies, actually, I think tomorrow I'm going to be showing you what I've been doing on BlockFi, right? With the position I took in BlockFi when I've borrowed against that position, right? In order to go ahead and either take money out of the market, because that's not a taxable event, by the way, or where I've bought more Bitcoin with it. We'll take a look at how much money I've invested into that and what that's in right now. Maybe you'll have an idea of why I feel so comfortable where we are right now at Bitcoin, $32,000. But this is a great time, I think, also for people to look at when's a good time, perhaps, if you're getting into that mindset that you plan on buying Bitcoin and you plan on actually taking money, borrowing against that Bitcoin rather than having a taxable event. You all are aware, like whether you're talking about Elon Musk, right? Or Jeff Bezos, actually the 1 and 2 richest men in the world, they don't sell their shares of Amazon and Tesla, right? They've borrowed against it to get where they are today. So we'll come back to that as we get going a little further. This was looking at the same thing on the 1-day time frame. Why I wanted to look at that, because it would be highly unusual if this goes red over here. If you look at what happened, we never really went red into a bear market, right? If you look at the 2012 cycle, the 2016 cycle, we don't go red into a bear market. What also is interesting over here is in each prior bear market coming off that blow off top, we really bounced pretty hard at this point, right? Here's that big bounce over here. This is Willy Woo's exit in a bull market. He waits for price to show that it came off. It comes off roughly 70% in 6 weeks. And then on that bounce, the exit, we haven't had a bounce here. It's not really showing characteristics of a bear market, but something could be different. When I say that, like, I'm trying to figure out what's going on, right? Because things are a little bit different. Like, genuinely, things are behaving differently on not only on the bear side here, but on the bull side. What's going on? What do we make of it? These are the things that I'm looking at. All right, couple of things over there. Let me take a bump. There you go, Ricardo. I saw also a super chat over there. Brandon, my brother, Brandon, for Christopher and the Kids Sats Funds. Man, this is Gus. This is coming off of Gus Generosity. Brandon, man, thank you, brother. Without you, many of us wouldn't have had the amazing trades we've had this past year. Brandon, thank you so much for all you add to this community, which is absolutely essential, right? Brandon, you're out there on your own, putting out what information you could share with others to help build them up and give them a better state of life, a different perspective. Your perspective doesn't have to match anyone else's, Brandon. It's completely valuable to myself and to the community. Brandon on Crypto Trades and Tech, Crypto Trades and Tech. If you're not following. I started watching. I haven't had a chance yet to watch the full video this morning. Brandon talking about why he's not consulting any model for Bitcoin. Watch the video, right? His analysis does not have to align with mine at all, right? And by the way, I'm perfectly good with that because I want to see someone's opinion who's able to articulate it in a way that like is non-emotional based off of like let's say a solid foundation. I want to know about that. I want to learn about that. It's either going to help me either strengthen my own or it's going to help me pivot to see something else. So listen, great stuff. Thank you for your generosity, Brandon. Thank you for more than that. Thank you for your friendship. You know? All right, let's see what else we're going. Let's see what else we're doing over here. Things are different. We'll keep watching that, right? It's different for me. So I want to see what's going on. This was shared by Miles. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication, right? Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. It's how I believe that I follow the markets or approach the markets, at least, taking something so enormously complicated as the markets are and simplifying it down. You know, that's an edge right there. This is a great quote, Miles. Thank you for all the quotes you've been sharing over here. This was a reminder to take a look at the traditional markets. We're going to do that. Before I do that, I have homework for myself. So as I share my own homework with you, it might be of interest for you. You know, many of you are probably familiar with Dr. Lacey Hunt, right? For 40 years, he's been riding the deflationary trade. It's not easy to push a trade that long. There's nothing easy about it, right? A lot of people in the space look to him as, let's say, well, in his own way, shape, or form, a legend, but they look to him as a bit like a master, right? A master of the craft. And you want to watch what Dr. Lacey Hunt is saying when it comes to whether or not we're flipping towards inflation or not. Okay. Now, I watched a year ago as this debate on Macro Voices. I watched Dr. Lacey Hunt and as well as the other side. If y'all remember on Twitter, on the live streams, I was presenting both cases to you, the inflationary and the deflationary, right? Now, I went with what I believe we were seeing inflation. Actually, I thought we were seeing uber asset inflationary, obviously proven correct. There was a whole bunch of people who were taking that other side. There was the guy with the hat, right? There was Real Vision, right? There was Raul. they all thought that like we're going to see deflation and we're going to see like an insolvency event, right? So, 15 months later, they were proved very wrong, right? Now, if they keep holding on, a year and a half is a long time, any way you look at it, right? Are they going to be proven correct going forward? I don't know. I'm at a particular point over here where I think we're at a critical juncture and I'm getting ready to flip my view. But I haven't flipped my view yet. Actually, last week I was like, you know what? I need more time to see how the market reacts, right? Right now, the market was basically told by the Fed that, 2 years from now, we may begin raising rates. The market knows if the Fed begins raising rates, that's a big policy mistake. It's not going to be sustainable, and it's going to cause some type of event that is going to cause the Fed to have to come in and what? This is the bullish case for Bitcoin right here. It's going to happen either way. They're going to have to expand their balance sheet again. The government is going to have to come in with massive stimulus, right? And what happens is that dollar continues to be devalued, devalued, devalued. It's the bullish case for Bitcoin. There's no way about it. But I want to listen to what Dr. Lacey Hunt is saying. This is my homework. I'm really excited for it. It's called Inflation Today, but Deflation Tomorrow. Notice the title, though, has flipped. A year and a half later, 15 months later, the good doctor is like, okay, we're seeing inflation today, but tomorrow we're going to see deflation. All right. So there's something you have to pay attention to. When people get really caught up in what people are presenting and saying, also be aware that like it also sounded a good a year and a half ago when they were saying what they were saying. Now let me give you the cheat sheet. I haven't listened to this yet, but let me give you what it comes down to. We're going to see the massive deflationary pressures that we have, whether it's technology, demographics. We're going to see that all basically win unless something changes. What is that something changes? What did we see change a year ago? We saw the Fed basically giving money directly to people, right? What happens once the digital dollar is introduced and those banks, who the deflationarists say, well, if they're not lending, then this doesn't work. The banks become irrelevant, right? You're going to have an app on your phone and it's going to be the Fed wallet and they're going to be giving you money direct. They're going to be stimulating the economy to who and when they want, right? They're going to be bypassing that's a game changer. You have to be aware of it. Nevertheless, I want to know what's going on, right? And that brings me over to here. This was in the HODL discussion channel on Discord over here. And it was really good. I'm going to start over here with Lisbeth's comment, and I really want to get into Eddie's comment, right? I know there's heaps of talk over on the Bitcoin channel about how things are apparently definitely going to break below 30 and perhaps probably go to $20,000. I'm struggling with that narrative in the chart so far. The sweep lows seem to be sweeping a little less each time. By the way, let me just give you a picture of what exactly is being said over here because it's true, right? Over here, we had this rounding top over there. You see that? Like that rounding top, right? I did a bad job. I could have done better. Now, I did a bad job. I could have done better. I should have seen the exhaustion coming, right? Now, listen, I'm not going to try to go in here and talk about everyone knows what happened as we broke the trend line. And I told everyone, right? If you're still in below 58,000, you're dead wrong, right? You're late to get out, but you're dead wrong, right? And then over there, we all know what happened when I said, listen, I don't know what's going on anymore. But I could have still have seen this a lot better, and I did it. There's much room for improvement. Always, I am a student of the market and learning. And you could see this also over here. You could see this little bit of rounding taking place if it continues, right? I think more important than the rounding taking place over there is that trend line over there. That trend line over there. Now, Giles has gone ahead and he shared over the weekend, right, why this is a prime trend line. He showed the symmetry that's taking place off that trend line throughout the market. It also happens to be over here, right, the neckline for the head and shoulders. If we break it, things could get ugly. There's no question about it. That's why we're here today talking about it, right? Listen to this, though. Yeah, it's hard to deal with, especially because we're meant to be in a bull year, right? Can you imagine? This is like the psychological battle taking place over here. We're supposed to be legitimately in a bull market. Many people are saying, what are you talking about? Bitcoin's trading at $35,000. You don't think we're in a bull market? And they're right, right? There's no question about that. Those same people are like, of course you're saying you think we're in a bear market. You probably got into Bitcoin like in the last 2 months and you haven't even earned your stripes yet. You have no idea. They're also right, right? But at the same time, we are looking at what perhaps could be a massive policy mistake, right, by the Federal Reserve, or it could be actually a legitimate crackdown, not on Bitcoin, but trying to rein in this inflation by China. And those forces are a lot bigger than anything else, right? So it is possible, right, that we actually see the markets correct, the stock market correct massively, right? And if that happens, right, do you think that Bitcoin is going to be immune right now? Probably not. Probably if we run into any type of crisis, and I think it's way too soon to be predicting or calling for a crisis. You remember the last time someone called for, over the weekend, called for an insolvency event, right? And right away I'm on the tube and I'm like, come on, there's not going to be any insolvency event this weekend. This week coming up. That's ridiculous. We're not seeing in this moment, we're seeing basically shots were fired, rates might be raised in 2 years, and the market figuring out how it wants to price that all in. That's what we're seeing in this particular moment. We don't know how it's going to go, right? So listen, the macro backdrop, right? Oh, sorry. We're seeing record amounts of central bank interference. The macro backdrop should be amazing for Bitcoin right now. Nevertheless, I still believe that we see much higher prices as expected. I no longer think a top is coming in September, November, though, in that range. To me, it looks more likely that, it's either the end of the year, back towards that peaking, whether it's the end of November or in December, right? Or maybe even to mid next year. Again, we're going to be looking at that probably on Wednesday. We'll be able to release it. Ken's work over here. The recent video on Real Vision with Raul has helped explain a lot of why Bitcoin is down at the moment, and it won't be down forever. Fundamentals have never been stronger. If you haven't watched the last couple of videos that Raul has done, I really think that it's worthy of your time. At the same time, I think that you need to just use it as something to consult, right? It sounds really good, but it also sounded really good a year ago when Raul kept talking about, how this was going to lead to an insolvency event. And Raul was not in that inflationary camp, and we saw asset prices really inflate massively, right? So it sounds good, but just use it as a point of reference. Just because someone says anything, including myself, don't take that as what is. Use it as a point of reference to make up your own mind. The triangle, right? You have, one side of the argument, another side of the argument, and then you're listening to both sides, and then you make up your mind. Right now I have the mindset is, well, I want the markets to prove what they're going to do next. I don't know what they're going to do. I want to break this down over here to the S&P and start and see what's going on with you. We have our trend lines that I'm focused in on over here, right? The top area of resistance, the bottom area of support. All of this started coming in. And by the way, Giles has a way better way of coming up with these trend lines than I do. And the way that I just happen to have the same one, it worked, and the reason I did that, you all know, I used this resistance as we were coming down over here. I said that should be support. And then I took this as my prime trend line. Now this one here in the middle, by the way, I just want you to see, if I come down to that support over here, which I'm going to do right now, do you see how that it plays over there as support again? And if I bring it up over here, I'm just going to bring it up to some random place over there. What I did was I found that area of resistance, and then you can see resistance, resistance. This is going to play throughout the market, is what the market's paying attention to. I have it over here in the middle because this is where we started holding out support. And then again, on the upside is resistance. So I said, if we break that, we could potentially come down a 4% move and test this lower support. You could see what's happening right now is that we broke down and are now coming in for a retest. Do you see that? We're coming in for a retest right now. What happens on this retest? If we resume off, that's a bearish moment that we're experiencing over here. Is it possible that this was an overreaction and the retest is not successful and we get back above this area of support and towards the other? Yeah, we don't know what's going to happen. All right. We're completely neutral. A lot of people right now are calling for, again, a 10, 20% correction in the markets, S&P. I have no idea. We're in no man's land. We're dead center of my channel that we're in right now. All right. I'm waiting for the market to show me, and we're going to be paying a lot more attention as we're at a pretty critical juncture over here. Right. What about the Nasdaq? Well, the Nasdaq, look at this. All right. I just want you to focus on one thing over here, this rising wedge that we're in. And you see we're coming back right now to that support over there. A breakdown of this. We don't trade breakdowns or breakouts only on Bitcoin and crypto in the bull market phase, right? We always in other markets wait for the breakdown, the retest, and then the resumption. It prevents you about 95% of the time from getting caught out there. This is all, by the way. You have Roy before. Roy talking about like Roy also everything that we do and teach over here, right? When you get into the inner circle and you're on the Discord and you take the course and it's all about risk management. This is the first thing that's taught in Conquering the Markets is how to manage your risk, and all the levels we use is all about managing your risk, right? That's the name of the game. The most important thing in trading is knowing how to manage your risk. One of the ways that we're able to do that is not just taking breakdowns and breakouts and getting caught out there. You're going to get some, and this could be one. Maybe we break down over here, and maybe this shoots down, right? Elevator style. You heard the whole, markets take a staircase up, which is true, and they fall down. Yep, that's true. And this could fall down over here. Guess what? You don't get an entry, right? You don't get an entry. And by the way, if you're trading equity markets, unless we're actually in a crisis, and we're not in a crisis right now, you should not be taking the short side. You should get aside when the corrections come, and then wait for the repair to get back in them. And on the Nasdaq alone, on this chart I'm looking at, we did this massively well back over here in March, and then again coming out of over here in May, right? If we break down over here, you don't need to be like the day trader that's trading the Nasdaq E-minis and trading each tick glued to you. There's no freedom in that, first of all. There's no freedom in being a slave of the screen, right? Anyway, we're watching this rising wedge, a breakdown over here, that's going to put us on the defensive, right? And if anyone was long on the Nasdaq, taking the trade that we did look at together, right? Taking the breakout over here, breakout, retest, resumption, right? And this is your exit if we break down outside of that. Right now, though, we haven't broke down. We're within the rising wedge. There's no edge. You don't know if this is going to break down, hold here, and even maybe break to the upside. It's too soon. Wait for the market to show you what's happening. What about the dollar? Some people are having trouble with people having any type of bullish dollar view right now. They really are. Listen, forget your own bias and just follow what's going on over here, right? We laid this out on Friday, and we said, and this is Raul presented this neckline over here, and it's a trend line, it's a neckline, right? You could see this reverse head and shoulders, the left shoulder, the head, the right shoulder. I see it. It's pretty important. Over here, even more important, this was when Will over here in the Discord, this is Conquering the Markets all day long. He said, watch that trend line over there. We're coming into it, and a breakout over there. That takes away all bearish momentum. Now, it set us neutral in this case. Why? We're in a downtrend, right? Very clear, strong downtrend. We're coming into resistance. Here's that red line of resistance, right? And this whole area, by the way, coming back from here, this is all resistance. We got a lot of work to do in order to turn the trend over here. So a lot of people can't understand how anyone could be bullish on the dollar. Did you hear, by the way, I heard a rumor from FX Hedge that the Democrats are getting ready to present a $6 trillion infrastructure package. How is the dollar going to react to that? I don't know. We're at critical juncture here. I'm following what's going on with price. A break above Will's trend line sets us neutral, right? Overall, of course, we have that bearish, weak posture, but momentum's not with us anymore, right? Now we're neutral. Guess what, Jordan? We've been sideways since January, right? And then what we're looking at, well, we have Raul's line over here, and breaking above that trend line, yeah, it does take us in, like I have resistance right above it. I have resistance right above it, but it's a good line to manage your risk off. What does that mean? Getting above here flipping bullish, it makes a lot of sense, right? And why? Because you have a line here to manage your risk off of. Get back below it, okay. It was a failed breakout. But just getting caught in your whole like bearish dollar view could get you into trouble, especially that type of trendline break coming in that inverse head and shoulders. What about gold and silver? What are they doing today? I have no idea. Let's take a look. All right, so a couple of things to observe over here. The first observation I'm going to make is that, this was the area that I said, and again, I should start with silver because silver was the trade that I said was the better trade to take. This was the entries, the 2 entries we took. Special video given on this day, April 7th, talking about silver, and this was our exit here. We did it on June the 3rd. It's all on video, talking about the exit on silver. We wanted to push it further, but it broke down over here, right? So what are we looking at now? We're coming back into the support. Is it a good area to lean in and buy gold? That's a tough one. I think it's aggressive. I think it's really aggressive. I don't know what the markets are doing right now. I really feel like, I feel like there's a lot of uncertainty. People that have had this view for a long time feel like this is their moment after last week to like jump in and we don't know what's going to happen. A lot of people don't like when I take the posture, look, now's the time to do nothing. Now is the time to do nothing. A lot of people don't like that. A lot of people want to know every day, what do I need to buy? And all of you watching know that I'm very selective about my trades. Very selective about my trades. And they happen to be good ones most of the time when I take them, right? Not that I don't have anyway, listen. Right now, this was the trade. This breakout of this trend line in silver, this was the trade. It didn't work out as we want, but it was still a fantastic trade. It was managed well. It didn't break to 12-month highs. And now a lot of people, as we started breaking down, were like jumping in. It's too soon, right? Still bullish over here, holding this area of support, by the way. That would be very bullish because this is kind of where the breakout occurred. And coming in and retesting it in the long time, that could be really solid and really good. You don't need to be a hero right now. Do you hear my voice? Do you hear the hesitancy in it? That's the biggest signal going on right now. Listen, let's keep it easy, and it hasn't changed since the exit here. Getting above 28.30, that's a really good time to get back into the water. The market has proven itself, right? On the downside over here, if I step out, massive uptrend, sideways market, right? Sideways. If we break down over here, who knows, man? I don't know. It won't look good. It doesn't look good. Do I think that's happening? No, I don't think that's happening. Yeah, it's just, there's nothing going on here. How about that? It's good support, by the way. If you look out to the left, it's strong support, but this is not when we attack. I lined this up for how long? For months. I lined up this trade, and then when it was time to attack, we attacked, boom, we couldn't push it as far as we want, time to exit. Let's wait for the market to show that it's giving some type of repair before looking to get aggressive. All of you who are in a rush to take trades all the time, you're really just in a rush to lose money, right? There's opportunity in the markets. The opportunity is not here right now today, in my opinion. Now, if you are taking this trade, by the way, if you're seeing price come into that support, if it holds the support and starts resuming off, by the way, you have resistance right above you. Probably safer to wait us take out that 26.30 resistance, get above there, and then look to attack, right? You are on the defensive right now. Wait for things to be a little clearer if you really want to take a poke at this. So gold too, let's take a look at gold, right? It's good that it's holding the area of the breakout, right? This was the exit on gold we talk about. The trade wasn't taken by myself. The long wasn't taken. This was just the exit that we given when we cloned that trend line over there. It tumbled down since. It's back to an area of support, which happens to be the breakout. So why this was the breakout, the retest, and then after consolidating, it did resume off. This is also, it could be a breakout retest if we resume off over here. It's too soon, in my opinion. I think I think you're trading with way too much, way too loose, and with way too much risk if you're thinking of getting in the market here right now. That's my opinion. All right. So what else? We're going to be doing tomorrow. This is tomorrow after the live stream, inside CTM and the announcements channel. I'm not going to do it by email, I don't think. But we're going to go at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. We're going to have an FX session. And we're going to start doing that twice a week for those on the Discord, an FX only session. So we'll be looking at to do that tomorrow. I want to go ahead and I'm going to play some Honeymoon instrumental just so I could take a look at the comments and see what's going on. See if there's any. Oh, this is good. You know, I saw William over the weekend on Twitter. He put out a chart showing that a lot of the shorts were taking or were closing their positions. Let's take a look at it on Bitfinex, right? Look at that. Wow, that's massive. That's massive, don't you think? Look at that. So I want to check a look at the same time what happened with the longs, but wow. Let's take a look also at the same time at the longs. Thanks for bringing that up. Longs holding their positions. Interesting stuff over there, right? Interesting stuff. All right, let's take a look before I even play Honeymoon, just on the 8-hour. I wanted to dig down also with you. All right, and just talk about this and make this really simple. We have this line over here, all right? I should call it, Giles, if you check out on the Discord in the Bitcoin channel, he put out the perfect, beautiful chart work over there showing this prime trend line where he grabbed it from originally. All the symmetry throughout, it's been holding, right? And you can see if we break down below there, expect a further follow through. Whether or not that winds up being the spring of the Wyckoff accumulation, that's the bullish case for Bitcoin. That, you know, if that happened, you could also break down and see a lot of further pressure, right? We're seeing all that pressure coming in during Asia recently. Watch what happens tonight. Where do you get safe again, right? Where could you take a breath? It's the same thing. This is the prime trend line. This is it cloned. Getting it back above that area over here, that will be the first indication that things are starting to, you know, begin to repair, right? Beyond that, we have the box that we looked at, and I drew in the box, right? The next thing after getting above this trend line would be having to get above that box. That's right now, you're in the middle of the box. By the way, that means there's no edge, right? Getting above this and below this trend line, weak, right? If we break down below, could get ugly, on the verge of a breakdown. What we need to repair in order for this to begin looking like a little, like you could just take a breath if you're long and strong, would be above this trend line over there. All right. So Greg has a good point. Let me play some Honeymoon, and let me go ahead and see what's going on with all of you, and we'll check in like that. Death Cross. We're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into that. We'll start with that 1 second. I think we covered a lot this session. There's really no follow-up questions, which we normally have. So that's good. That's a lot to cover on a Monday for sure. Listen, tomorrow's going to be way better. No question about that. We have the death cross. Here's the death cross over here. Look, in my opinion, is this a pi cycle indicator cross over here where it's going to lead to actually another 50% move down? It very well could be. It very well could be. At the same time, you're looking at a lagging indicator. Moving averages and their crosses are extremely lagging indicators. An example of that over here, here's a death cross occurring, right? Its price is at the bottom of that death cross, right? So that would have been, a really bad time. That's not the only time that happens. It happens often. Here's a good cross. This is why it's so weird right now. Anything could happen. It's the markets. And if we're legitimately entering into this shorter cycle, everyone's talking about lengthening cycles. Well, what happens if this is a shorter cycle, a massively shorter cycle, and that we actually entered into the bear market, right? And bear crosses that occur at the beginning of a bear market, those are the ones to worry about. It's not over here in 2018, also over in 2014, bear market, death crosses in bear markets are bad news bears. And is it possible that's happening here? Of course, it's possible. Maybe shorter cycles are here, and it's not a lengthening cycle thing. I mean, I think we're mid-cycle. I think ultimately that this cross would have been a bad indicator, but it could be a whole pi cycle thing. Who knows? I don't know. But I'm not reading much into it. We're aware of it. Thanks for bringing it up, Matt. But I don't really, it doesn't give me an edge here to be able to talk it about with you. The way that we looked at the market, the way that we focused in on what's going down, first on the daily, bringing it down to 8 hour, that gives me the greatest edge over here. All right, let's finish out with some honeymoon over here. We'll have pet snack tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll have some pet snack on Taco Tuesday. The Bifinex shorts. The question came up. It was why is price not rising if you're seeing all those shorts covering? Look, I don't know the volume personally on Bifinex of how many traders are. I don't know if that volume is greater or smaller than the futures traded on CME. I don't know if that volume is greater or smaller than what's taking place on Binance or FTX or BitMEX. I just personally don't know. Could we look at coin market cap to get some type of indication? Let's try that. So I'm going to go to Bitcoin. I mean, I rarely look at this site, so I guess I go to market. All right. So I'm looking for Bifinex. Yeah, it's the 5th largest market out there. Volume, $800 million, right? It's Binance dwarfs it, right? So is it the indication of how many people were short on Binance, or who would be a lot more important? I think so. We're just looking at one small little glimpse of what's going on over there by just looking at the Bifinex shorts. So, I don't really know what to make of that personally, or I don't know if the Bifinex shorts were reflective of the amount of shorts taking place across all the markets as well. I don't have that type of insight. All right. Yeah, Andy, what's interesting about that though, right? I lost the schismatic, right? Can we bring it up again really quick? Let me bring it up. Give me 1 second. I want to bring up the cheat sheet over here that we're looking at this morning with the Wyckoff accumulation pattern to see if it's able to give us a little bit of help over here. Here it goes. So boom. That's not what I want. So I'm gonna zoom in just a little bit. And if you're in a rush, have a beautiful day. But I want to take a look at this. All right. So just give it one more second over there. Capitulation coming. What's a good? I'm going to come back to that comment in 1 second because that's something for us to think about. All right. Here we go. So, if you're following this accumulation pattern, it was when I talked about option B, and if we take out this low, and it looked to me that we are actually entering some type of Wyckoff accumulation. I was expecting it to last for about 3 months, almost as long as what we saw here in the distribution, right? If you're following this pattern over here, that's not really the way it plays out. You're talking about by the first week of July, this thing breaking back above, right? And then out of this should come a sharp move up. So, I don't really know what to make of that. I do know that this over here is the ultimate cheat sheet, right? The most important trend line in crypto. If we do break down and then play out through the rest of this pattern and then start the move up, the first week of July, which has us over, over here, it would be pretty soon that we're coming in and testing that line, right? It could be over here. Here's like the first week of July, price around $46,000. Not such a worst case scenario. That's why it's the bullish case of that were to occur. I don't know. How about that? I thought that if we were actually, saw a 3-month distribution phase, we should see a 3-month accumulation phase, and it could be much longer until we break out from that trend line over there. So I can't argue with this though. It's almost a mirror copy, right? I can't argue with it. So it's happening quicker. And this is Bitcoin. Things that, anyway. So what else? This was a good one. It could be. We don't know. We don't know. Things are unclear. When did things become unclear? Well, it was that famous session over here on May the 14th when I'm like, things are really unclear. And they have not gotten clear since. They actually unfolded quite dramatically, right? When we broke above this trend line, what did I say to you? When we broke above that trend line, everyone wanted to get leveraged along again. I was like, no, things are still unclear. Things are unclear. And you have to be comfortable with things being unclear. You have to be comfortable with that friction. Again, advanced trading lesson today. You don't have to know what's happening tomorrow, today, tomorrow, the next day. There are times when really you should not be involved, right? Wait for something to be clear, go in, pick it up. So, Martha, thank you so much Martha's been here, I think, as long as Heath, right? Or almost as long as Heath, well over a year, continually supporting us with lots of light and love. Thank you for that, Martha. Grateful for it. My first Bitcoin cycle. It's hard to keep my chin up in this stormy weather. No, yeah, listen. So this is funny. This is a great comment, only because if you think the bull market's tough, wait till you get to the bear market. That's where Bitcoiners are made, or in the bear market, right? And this is just a little bit of a warm up. By the time you get through, 4 years in Bitcoin, at that point you are a Bitcoiner, and you are ready to go. And all of a sudden, anyway, you get detached. How about that? What else are we looking at? Thank you that very much. Well, Paul, everyone is seeing it. It's what we spent, the last hour talking about and doing. Everyone is seeing it. Here it is, Paul. I mean, if it happens, there it is. Everyone is seeing it. Jeremy went ahead and provided this chart for us, overlapping price with the schematic. If anyone is going to deny that is taking place and mirroring it, well, it doesn't mean that we actually hit the spring. And it doesn't mean that the spring holds. We could actually have a massive sell-off. And that sell-off could be capitulation. Or that sell-off could actually take us further towards, we don't know, things are unclear, right? And that's been for 5 weeks now. Bitcoin above $50,000. Things are unclear. I don't know what's going on. And things are, I would gather to say, more unclear than they were then, right? Now things are really unclear. And that's the way it is. So, everyone, thanks for spending the time here today. Really, really grateful for it. It's going to take, here we go. John K. Shorter bull cycle equals shorter bear market and less return to the upside. So now, John, we got, shortening cycles and diminishing returns, less loss to the downside, stay positive, fam, right? And think long term. This is just what I mean. Think long term. Think long term. Now, listen, the whole idea of the work that I'm trying to do and bring to all of you, right, is being able to take advantage of the 4-year cycle and being able to accumulate more Bitcoin. And if we get that blow off top, there's no question I'm going to be there. I'm going to exit the top, right? And I'm going to try my best to get in at the capitulation bottom, right? Now, is there such a thing as becoming a forced hodler? Well, that depends on what you're doing over here, right? Me holding Bitcoin at no point in time is forced. I want to be holding. Actually, the conflict or tension I have is, do I ever want to sell my Bitcoin legitimately? Do I want to start thinking about, because right now it's just like whatever I'm doing on BlockFi is one strategy, right? Hardware wallet, another strategy. Trading on exchanges, another strategy. Like, does it, is the best play long term that, yeah, you're not really selling your Bitcoin. It's a taxable event, especially if they raise, cap gains. I would fall into that larger one. It would not, what would I do? Would I sell my Bitcoin, or would I just wait for that bear market low and borrow against it? Either way, it's long term, John, long term. And that's a great comment. John, continuously adding really strong signal to the community. Make sure you follow him on Twitter. Love these live streams so much. Used to hate working afternoon shift. Now it's my fave because Dave, thank you so much for adding so much to this community all the time. Giles, everyone, thank you for this session. Tomorrow's going to be a good day. We got a lot to cover. It's a very important time here in the markets. And then we're going to be taking a really strong FX session tomorrow with just the fam over on the Discord. Look at this. It's too soon to do anything until you break down out of the wedge, right? Someone was pointing out a different pattern on the, look, there could be many different patterns. Is someone looking at some type of, I don't know, but I do know, there you go. This is important. We broke this was a failed breakdown. Here's a failed retest. I'm going to make this line lighter, and then I'm going to put up the next area of resistance that we need to watch out for. I'm going to put it right over here. All right. I'm putting it here. I'm going to keep it light, a little darker so that we could see it. And the reason being is this was the breakdown, the retest, right there, right? So should that area act as resistance again? Yeah. Look to the left of it. You can see there it was acting as support, and here it was resistant. It's a real line, and these lines occur throughout. So it's hard not getting trapped. I'm making it light so that we don't put too much focus on what's happening in the noise on the inside. The middle one was important. The middle one was there before anything else. And I want you to focus on the upper resistance and the lower support, right? So there you go. What else? This one is here, like our edge. Do you remember going into the Fed meeting? I'm like, bull flag, resistance, support. We don't make up our minds until it breaks down out of it, right? And you have people getting whipsawed on both sides. We are just in the middle. We do not know which way this is going to break. The market needs some time to make up its mind. We're not trying to force our opinion on the market. We want to know which is right? We'll wait. If this breaks down, yep, you know what? We're looking for yields to fall for sure. This thing breaks out to the upside. The market is calling the Fed's bluff. They know that it's not raising rates. And they know that more so, if they do raise rates, what are they going to have to do? They're going to break the system, and it's going to force them to go ahead and have some type of massive intervention again. I don't know what's happening. I'm waiting for price to show me what's happening. You all know the last time the Fed acted, I was like, inflation's coming. I'm getting on the right side over here. That's worked out well. People that stayed on the wrong side this whole time are now making a big huff and a puff about like what's happening. How do you know? I don't know. I'll know when the market shows me. All right, everyone. Have a beautiful day. Thank you for making mine. Yeah, lots of love. right, everyone. Have a beautiful day. I'll see you tomorrow.